Incoming transmission. Initiating data compilation protocol. Compilation complete. Enhancing. Enhancing. Initializing data playback. Code Alpha. Begin playback.
Good morning, everybody. This is Matt with the Madness AM for July 14th, 2015. It's madness. Positively mad. 6:43 a.m. So I woke up this morning at around 2, which it seems to be just kind of the way things have been going. Waking up at about 1 or 2 a.m., which is fine with me. Allows me to kind of get a head start on everything. I went down to the gym this morning like a good little lad, and there was somebody using the treadmill, which is what I like to use, for a good half an hour or so. I do a little running and then brisk walking for a half hour. And the treadmill's neat because it has an incline controller and all that stuff, and you can set the speed to whatever you want. You can do an all-out sprint or a walk, anything between. So it's a really cool, decent piece of kit down in there. Something that you wouldn't normally see in an apartment complex gym. And they have a few pieces like that, but that's the only treadmill down there. And somebody was using it. So I chickened out. and came back upstairs. And you're gonna laugh at me for this, and I do not blame you. One of my problems doing the kind of work that I do, I'm very sedentary most of the time. I used to stand up and work. Before our apartment fire, I had this desk that was pretty friendly with a kind of bizarre setup of a mishmash of boxes and stuff, and I had it set up just right so that everything was at eye level, and I could reach the keyboard and the mouse and everything without bending. Let me see, bending my wrists at weird angles to type. And since then, I just haven't been able to find the right levels for me. Now we have carpet. Before it was wood floor, so maybe that might be a reason why it felt kind of strange and uncomfortable. And I know that standing too, standing in place, isn't really good for you either. You kind of have to be moving. So, I mean, the ideal situation would be to someday get like a treadmill desk or something and be all ridiculous like that, But in the meantime, I've kind of satisfied my body's need to move around by going to the gym every once in a while or stopping here and doing some floor exercises and junk. But since somebody was using the treadmill this morning, I ran back upstairs, and as I was saying, being sedentary so often, I have a lot of problems with core strength. I'm all gushy in the middle. So my wife, Bo, who's a personal trainer, listen to me trying to explain this away ahead of time, preemptively strike. She got this DVD. She's big into pole dancing and stuff, and burlesque and all that stuff. So I used this thing here, Cleo's Rockin Legs and Abs, and make fun all you fucking want, but this woman destroys me. Totally kicks my ass, and she does a lot of core strength stuff, and a lot of stuff with the legs. So, which helps me a lot because I'm sitting in this chair is not really all that great. It used to be pretty good, but after maybe about 4 or 5 months, it started to get kind of uncomfortable, and I have poor circulation in my legs and stuff. So doing stuff like that, I've done it a couple times before, and it feels totally silly. Don't get me wrong. There are parts in there that are kind of goofy, and I'm like, hope nobody's looking right now. Make sure the shades are drawn, and but I've done it with Bo before too. Like she wanted somebody to do it with her so that she didn't feel awkward and silly as well. Because we're both really weird about our workouts and stuff. Like we kind of need a degree of privacy, and we're fine doing it together, but like going to a crowded gym and stuff is always kind of a no. Maybe I'll just do some reps at home with a chocolate bar. Doing some Snickers curls in the privacy of my own home. But that stuff on this DVD is fantastic for abs and legs. So as the freaking title suggests, you get your rockin' legs and abs. But yeah, she just destroys me within like half an hour. I'm like tapping out, So I did that, and then I went back down to the gym, and it was all empty. This is the nice thing about the one downstairs is it's usually pretty quiet right around the times when I want to use it, except for this morning at 4:00 in the morning. Somebody else had the same idea as me, but so I went back down there, and typically I do about half an hour on that thing at a pretty brisk speed, kind of going back and forth between running and walking at a reasonably steep incline. But this time, man, I could only do like 10 minutes after this DVD. I was like, I'm getting kind of dizzy and I need to stop. But feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about it. Despite it being a goofy ass, not very manly package here. You're not going to be going to be going down to the sports bar and bragging that you just did half an hour on Cleo's rockin' legs and abs. Cleo the Hurricane, specifically. But anyway, did that. That's all over and good and done. So these, with Madness AM, I'm going to go through my backlog and start the big pain in the ass, arduous journey of uploading each thing to YouTube, just so that people can access it on there, because I've gotten a few complaints where the audio cuts out a lot in the middle of the podcast, and like maybe 12 minutes or something, and it just fails, and then you have to reload the page and find your place again, and that's a pain in the ass. I don't, I'd be pissed off too. If I was listening to a podcast and I had to do that every damn time, like three times within the session of sitting and listening to an episode. But with YouTube, like that's, it handles itself. And that's just kind of like a weird quirk of Squarespace, I think. But I recently discovered that you can add a download button to the audio. And I didn't know that was there. They may have implemented it at some point between like the last episode, which was like a billion years ago, before I started doing them last Friday. In between that time, they might have implemented it, or it could have been there all along, and I just never noticed it. So you can download them. You can watch them on YouTube, or you can just try to stream them within the browser and hope for the best. Yeah, that's just a weird Squarespace thing. And Squarespace lately has been kind of a pain in the ass. Like I was having issues. I got a new credit card because my old one expired, and that's what I had been putting my Squarespace, where I'd been billing Squarespace through. It's like $20 a month, I think, for a reasonably sized package, and it's great. I mean, I love the interface. Like you can customize it pretty extensively and make it look just about how you want. Especially if you know CSS or anything like that, you can get in there and really the sky's the limit kind of thing. But it wasn't taking my new credit card for some reason. Like, it just refused. So I had to like talk to like my bank and shit, and they were like, we don't know. It's probably them. So I was like, all right. And this has happened before too. Like when I was previously talking about the problems with the podcast and how the audio was cutting out for people intermittently throughout the course of the podcast. And they were kind of like, they gave me the brush off then too. And this time I submitted a support ticket. They don't have, like, as far as I can tell, I can't find one. They don't have a phone number that you can call to actually talk to somebody. That you submit a support ticket and then they email you back and you email them, and you get a different person every response. If it's a multi-step issue where you say something and then they say something and then you say something, every single message comes from someone else, and it's like that person didn't read the previous replies and that they look at it as a brand new issue. And we went back and forth a couple times, and I explained the issue to like 3 different people. And the final person was like, yeah, I can't figure out what's going on, so I'm going to, elevate your problem to a financial person. I was like, okay, great, thanks. I emailed back saying, okay, great, thanks. And that was like a freaking week ago, and I haven't heard anything. And I've emailed a couple times since then, being like, hey, your thing says 24, we're here for you 24/7 with our customer support service. Like, I don't feel like I'm really getting that, especially like with a billing issue. You'd think that they'd want to be on top of that. It's like, hey, I'm having a problem giving you guys money. You want to help me out? Help me help you. But no, like I still haven't heard anything. I've since used like my checking card, and their billing system took that just fine. But I wanted to use the other thing, and it's just obnoxious, man. Like, I hate automated systems, and I hate, I bet somewhere, somehow, maybe me responding and saying like, hey, thanks for, looking into it. Let me know what happens. Maybe somebody tagged that as resolved or something, or flagged it as resolved, and it's, same thing with Time Warner Cable, man. Ooh, Time Warner Cable. They kind of screwed up our transition here into the new place too. And Time Warner Cable's like been the only service that I can get, aside from wireless, like completely wireless service. And I don't want to do that because that's always finicky and it's very expensive for what you get. And you get a lot of downtime. And I used wireless service a couple years ago because I did not want to use Time Warner Cable, and the wireless was terrible. They're just bad. Everybody sucks at this stuff. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, Time Warner Cable messed it up, and they set me up for the easy install sequence or package or whatever system of events for me to get internet in the new place. And it was like, yeah, you just take your modem with you and plug it in. And the lady, the person that I spoke with told me, oh yeah, you can go turn in your old modem too, and we have these new modems that take better advantage of our faster speeds or whatever. And I was like, okay, I can maybe believe that because this one's probably about 2 years old now. Like, and I lease it through Time Warner Cable. I don't have my own cable modem. So I went down to the Time Warner Cable, like little hub, I guess, or customer service hub, like an actual, brick and mortar location, and brought in my cable modem. I was like, hey, I was told that I have a free hardware upgrade that I could get a better one. And the woman behind the counter was like, no, that looks like one of the newer ones. Like, here, let me scan it. Nope. Yep. You're good. I was like, all right, that was a waste of time. But and then I got this email telling me like they were sending me like an install package and stuff. And I had never ordered one. And it was like, I contacted someone else and was like, hey, what's up with this? I didn't order this thing. And they're like, oh, we just have to send out a coaxial cable just as the system needs to send something out so that we know that you're getting your service changed in some way. And that's just kind of a confirmation. And she's like, you can do whatever you want with the cable. I was like, okay. I mean, long story short, like, it didn't work. Like, it worked for a week and then it stopped working. And I called them and they were like, oh, we never said okay on our end that you could have internet or whatever. So I just, it drives me up a wall, this stuff where it's like this giant squid and you're communicating with different appendages, and each appendage doesn't know what the other appendage is doing. And, the core, the head is asleep or something. And you can tell when you're being transferred to a completely different division, or, maybe even a whole brand new location somewhere else in the world when you're on the phone with these people, because you hear a brand new set of music tracks. It's like, oh, okay, listening to like, Chris Isaac performed on the flute, being on hold in one place, and then someone transfers you, and then you're listening to, Led Zeppelin on cellos or whatever. And it's just like, Jesus. And then they don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I would say I digress, but I don't think I actually had any real topic that I was exploring. So, and that's the whole point of this little podcast anyways. Being up super early and being all grumpy and crappy, and I didn't have my caffeine yet, and but I did get an excellent exercise thanks to Cleo and her leopard print workout attire. So there you go. Whether or not I wear my own animal themed workout ensemble, I'll leave to your imagination. But anyway, Squarespace, crappy customer service, pretty great platform and software. Time Warner Cable, I don't know, Internet Works, whatever. So anyway, yeah, I've been working on the site, trying to get everything set up to, mostly for myself too. It's like going in and cleaning house and everything, and I'm kind of pleased with the way it's turning out, with the overall design. And I've got such a huge backlog of like graphics and stuff to draw from, all these archives of old graphics and everything. Oops. There's my little alarm for my task management software. You know what? I forgot to post that in a couple podcasts ago in the show notes, so I'll do that. It's called Rainlander, and it keeps track of all the stuff that you have to do throughout the day, and it's fantastic. And I've talked about it before, so I'll just move on. But anyway, I did digress there. The new site, going to probably relaunch the Warpaint comic, because I took that down at one point. I tend to take a lot of stuff down when I get embarrassed with it. Like, oh no, it's not good enough. This is kind of crappy, and I'm not a good writer, and the artwork's not good here, and I've gotten so much better since. But I don't know, whatever. Like when I look at somebody's artwork, or somebody who I've been following for a long time, especially if it's kind of serialized in some capacity, if they're doing like a long form comic or something, or a series of strips, it's pretty cool to watch the evolution of their artwork and their writing and all that stuff. So I may as well just do it too. I guess, I don't know. Plus it means more stuff on the site, right? So content. So yeah, new site, new graphics. I want to go back to doing the old comic that I would do daily sometimes. Sometimes it was daily, sometimes it was like three days a week. After the fire, it was no days for 2 years. But I'd love to get back into doing that as well. So it'll kind of get a new coat of paint, I guess. Same old strips, new coat of paint, and then continuing on with it. Probably go back to the old title, the original title, which was Nocturnal Transmissions, which I recently discovered was Frasier has those little cards that sort of separate I don't know, like acts or scenes within a show's arc, within that 20 minutes or whatever, or like a new idea or whatever. and one of them was nocturnal transmissions. I was like, oh hey, maybe that's where I initially got the idea, I guess. But anyway, I was like, oh, anyway, probably gonna do that eventually with the comic. Do Warpaint, put Warpaint back up on there, and maybe go back to doing that like once a week, which is what I was originally doing with that, because I have a bunch of scripts for it written out and everything, and it's a story that I enjoy, and a universe I enjoy, and everything. So yeah, beyond that, just grinding away at the game, man. Still doing tile layouts and level and room design. Slogging through that, it really feels like I'm in the trenches with it, because it's so tedious. You know, you're remaking the same stage like 7 or 8 times with different tile layers and different skins and stuff based on what biome you're trying to communicate. So this, interesting problems seem to arise with procedural generation, and the little bit that I've experimented with it. Most of mine is purely visual. It's mostly cosmetic, but there are certain things that change, like depending on what biome you're in. Like the roster of enemies that you can potentially run into varies widely depending on what location in the world you're in. Also, what time of day, what season as well. Which is a lot of fun to play with, because you can do things like, the week of, the first week of winter is when this particular beastie comes out in this region, this sub-region of this, location in the world. And you have to be there if you want to hunt it and get this special item, this unique item, and that's the only way you're ever going to get it. So there are things like that are fun to play with, but everything else is... I hope it turns out good, man. I hope it is worth it, because it's a little hard to see, the forest for the trees when you're that deep into this thing, and you're just looking at, okay, I got to do a layer of sandstone. Okay, that's done. I got to do a layer of mud now. Now a layer of more purplish rock, or a layer of reddish canyony rock. Lots of rocks. I was about to make this game rocks joke, but I'm gonna no. Okay. Anyway, I guess it's a little too late now though. But and then you got to go back and you got to do the backgrounds for all of those. So you go back to your sandstone and you got to do the sandstone specific rock walls and stuff, especially if it's a cave or something. Then you got to go back and do the dirt stuff and the mud stuff and the vines and roots and green grass and brown grass and red grass and ferns and desert plants and all kinds of just again and again and again and again. So I will say that ever since I've started exercising a bit more regularly, it's gotten a lot easier, to get all that oxygen pumping through my brain, helping to keep me focused. The other day in the stream, someone mentioned that I should check out a band called Dance with the Dead. I believe they are called, as I draw out my speech while I am typing to try to look them up. Yeah, there we go. Dance with the Dead. Really good, very pumping and driving beats. It feels like getting shit done music. it's kind of dark. I don't know what you call it, dark synth, retro synth kind of stuff. It sounds very like Laserhawk or the Blood Dragon soundtrack, by Power Glove, that kind of stuff. So and I when I was listening to it, I was kind of getting tired towards the end of my stream there, but one of the viewers in the chat, Jackal Gamer, I think. So thanks, Jackal. Thanks, buddy. Told me I should listen to it. I immediately, kind of put some pep in my step. And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm going to put these tiles down, and I'm going to do them all fast and switch between biomes with the greatest of ease, thanks to this music. So it's I could work to that for hours. I could work to that for hours, and I almost did. It was towards the end of the stream though, and I was maybe had an hour left or so. But that's definitely going on my playlist today, man. Dance with the Dead. So I'll remember to put that in the show notes too, to link to their Bandcamp. Maybe send them a thank you note as well. So maybe some like a basket with some potpourri and moisturizer, and I don't know what else they would want or need, but pick up some muffins, send them some muffins, because yeah, especially Bandcamp too. Like you just go on there and listen to music for free. So I guess I should buy an album of theirs. But speaking of music too, and speaking of the new site and everything, I'm gonna put a section for my music on there. Finally, might even set up my own Bandcamp page. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, because I've got a ton of music as well. I've got a ton of music and a ton of comics just sitting around. So why not post them? You know, in case anyone's bored, they can go rummaging around through my nonsense, and listen to my nonsense while they are doing it. So look at all this nonsense that you got at your disposal here. A billion more ways for you to get distracted on the internet. Sorry there isn't any like cats doing cute things or anything, but you get to hear me talking about rocking legs and abs with Cleo the Hurricane. So what more could you want? But anyway, yeah, all the game work with the tiles and everything is going pretty well. A little slow because it does tend to get a little soul crushing at times. Says the guy who gets to work on his video game all day. You know, that's like, so there's soul crushing, and then there's like, I'm working on the thing that I love, and sometimes it's a little, I call it soul crushing, but it's really not. Like when I take a step back and look at it and like, look at this shit that I get to do like with my day. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty fantastic. So once I remind myself of that, I get excited and stoked all over again. So you got to play mind games with yourself when you're doing crazy amounts of busy work like this. It feels like busy work, but it's you know, it's all in the name of variety. I want there to be a variety of locations and randomized level layouts that the player can potentially run into, and maybe make for some interesting encounters. So we'll see how it all works. Fingers crossed, right? That's all you can hope for. Backed by a lot of strategy and planning and you know, meticulous design choices, but still, you never know. You never know what's gonna stick and what's not. But yeah, speaking of the game, with all this like kind of hobby fever that I'm going through right now, with, you know, the Age of Sigmar and stuff, and re-exploring my models, and, you know, my love and appreciation of tiny men from the Warhammer and Warhammer 40K universes. I've always wanted to design my own like mini game and stuff, miniatures game, because that was kind of my whole sort of that was my gateway. Was pretty much like Hero Quest was my gateway to all this stuff, and game design too, because I remember creating my own quests and stuff, and like making up my own rules where I didn't think like certain things were deep enough. Like the combat I didn't think was deep enough and didn't provide you with enough like tactical choices and things. So I kind of created my own stuff there. And eventually, just a couple of years ago, even on into adulthood now, you know, I'm still messing around with stuff like this. A couple of years ago, I did a rule set that supported co-op play and solo play in Hero Quest, because I'm a crusty little pariah, and I don't like to go outside and meet new people and try to convince them to play tiny men dungeon crawling fantasy game with me. But and the rules worked really well. I lost them in the fire, but that might be another interesting thing to go back and explore a little bit. But it would be so cool to do. And this is total pipe dream stuff. Like this is, ideal situation. Like the game is all done and it's released and whatever, and it's either doing very poorly or doing very well. And either way, it would be fun to explore some kind of miniatures board game with it, or a card game or something, because I'm a big like Magic the Gathering fan as well. There were a couple other collectible card games that I played back in the day, but Magic was always the one that stuck with me. But yeah, it would be a lot of fun to explore something like that. Not that that particular hobby or that the industry needs another dungeon crawler, because especially there are a lot of really interesting ones coming out soon, like Dungeon Saga Dwarf King's Quest, which I backed the Kickstarter for that, and it looks gorgeous, looks amazing, by Mantic Games, and then another game just called Conan, which I thought was kind of funny, that it didn't have like a I apologize, I keep wiping my nose. My allergies are bugging me, so like my nose is itchy. But anyway, the game is called Conan by Monolith Games, and that was Kickstarter as well. And I backed that as well, so I get these two beautiful board games coming out pretty soon here. I think Dungeon Saga is launching next month in August. So, yay, another thing for me to be distracted with. But Conan looks great as well. The miniatures in Conan are gorgeous. But I was surprised that it didn't have like a subtitle or anything, I'm not like Conan the Quest for Pants. It does. It's just called Conan, straight up Conan, by Monolith Games. So I'll try to remember to post those in the show notes too. I've got a lot of responsibility. Oh no. Yeah, I got to post a few things in the show notes for you fine folks to explore. But yeah, looking forward to those. For today, just do more work on the site, prettying up the site and making it look nicer and better and ready to receive all this extra content and stuff that I'll be pumping that into. Maybe not this week. Hopefully everything will be up and running next week, though. We'll see. We shall see. Right now, just mostly focus on doing this podcast with any amount of regularity. And of course the game. That's the big one. The game. Got to finish the game. Got to finish the trailer for the game too. I don't think I've talked about the trailer really. I had worked with two amazing people, Robert and Christine, who own and operate Escaping Westlawn, which is their production company. Might be more so Christine's, I think. But she's an amazing cinematographer and special effects person, and just having them both on my team working on that thing was just fantastic. Especially seeing the game like kind of come to life a little bit, especially with Roy too. Roy was a personal trainer, a work colleague of Bo's and a very good friend, and we somehow convinced him that wearing fake animal skins and a black wig with no shirt on was a good idea. So he's the barbarian. He's Kel essentially in the trailer, and he looked bloody fantastic. I probably talked about this before, but that's kind of what's going on. I need to do more music for that and get some game footage to them. So that's another thing. So yeah, just finish the game, finish the trailer. Anyhow, I will leave you with that, I guess. It's always a pleasure to spend the morning with you guys, with you folks, and I will see you next time.
No, baby. No, baby.
Take care.
No, baby. Hey. When? Hey. No, baby. No, baby. When? No. I love you.
What?